Hello out there. Let's talk about writing the first draft of a scientific manuscript. Staring at a blank screen and trying to write the first line of your manuscript can feel intimidating, but it doesn't have to. Try to see this moment not as a beginning, but as the next step in a journey you've already been on for some time. Your manuscript didn't appear out of nowhere. It started as a good idea at the time. That idea became a hypothesis to test or a question to answer. It turned into a study protocol. Then you generated real data and real results. And now your work is ready to become a published manuscript. You can call it knowledge management or information flow or simply the path from idea to impact. Either way, your job now is to write the next chapter in a story that already has a solid beginning. So start with the title. That's the first thing a reader or the AI assistant of another author will see when searching online for relevant research. Begin with the title of your study plan and then rewrite it as a short, informative title that includes your key finding. The final title will be short, concise, and use keywords that you yourself would include when searching for your own references. Now an important tip. Do not write the abstract next. I'll explain why later. Start with the introduction. Keep it shorter than you think it needs to be. Remember, it's not a comprehensive literature review. The introduction is a hook. It should include just enough background to help the reader understand why the study was done and to make them curious about how you did it and what you found. So in the introduction, summarize what's already known, then briefly explain what information is missing, and tell about that gap your study was designed to fill. End the introduction by stating the study objective. And here's something that surprises many people. You do not need to mention any of your results in the introduction. That's what the results section is for. And you don't need to explain why the findings matter. That belongs in the discussion. If you find yourself stuck on the introduction, then skip it for now and come back to it later. Many authors find it easier to start with the materials and methods. That's where you describe your study design, participants, experimental procedures, and statistical analysis. In other words, it's where you explain exactly what you did, why you did it that way. Your goal here is reproducibility. Include enough details so another investigator could repeat your work if they wanted to. That said, you don't need to fully describe methods that have already been published. Just cite those papers and briefly note any modifications you made when you use those methods. Now, pay special attention to the statistics. Think of statistics like a street light at night. You use it for illumination and also for support. Okay, now write the results. Describe your findings in the same order as you wrote about the methods. Be concise. Do not interpret the results. Include significant differences without repeating other numbers from your tables and figures in your text. Do not compare results to findings from other studies. That all comes later. Design your tables, figures, and graphs carefully so they convey your message as clearly as possible. The text should guide the reader on what to look for. Remember, effective communication is from how words, tables, and figures work together. You can check my blog post on words, pictures, numbers, and results for more on writing the results section. Now, the discussion. That's where interpretation belongs. Begin by summarizing your key findings, then compare your results with those from similar studies. And keep in mind, you are reporting original research. You're not writing a review, so limit the references to those that are essential. Discuss the strengths and limitations of your study. Explain what your findings add to existing knowledge. Mention unanswered questions and directions for future research, especially if these are questions you plan to address in future studies. You can end with a brief conclusion that echoes, but does not repeat word for word your main findings. Only after the manuscript is completed should you write the abstract. At that point, you and your co-authors will know exactly what matters most. The abstract should briefly cover the objective, methods, and key results, with just enough detail to capture the essentials and encourage readers to continue. The wording of your title, abstract, and keywords is what search engines and AI helpers use to find your work. And writing them last ensures consistency with the final manuscript. Finally, choose your keywords carefully and avoid repeating, if you can, words already used in the title. And consider including relevant MESH terms. Those are used by PubMed to categorize articles. And once everything is done, take one last look at the journal's author guidelines. Make sure you've included everything editors expect, and upload the manuscript and get it off your desk. That's it. You have moved your work one step closer to impact. That's my take. Think about it and come back next time. Talk to you later.